Cult leaders. Driven to manipulate. Fueled by egomania. Charismatic.
Sometimes he exuded all this love from his face.
But beneath the allure can lurk danger.
And he looked at me with shark eyes, just devoid of life.
How do cult leaders control the minds of others? And which of them is most evil? A scale exists to measure the darkest corners of human behavior. It weighs the criminal mind and the crime. From impulsive murderers to serial killers, this 22-point scale attempts to determine who are the most evil. Cult leaders are driven by narcissism. They want to control others. Shoko Asahara convinced some of Japan's best and brightest to commit mass murder. Adolfo Constanzo drew his followers into a cult of voodoo and human sacrifice. 4 Los Angeles cult members brutally murdered 7 people. They were disciples of Charles Manson. Fueled by overdeveloped egos, these cult leaders shaped their worlds in their own vision. They manipulated others to perform vicious acts. But where does the evil lie? Dr. Michael Stone of Columbia University created the 22-point scale of evil. It distinguishes between killers whose minds are overtaken by madness and those who are in control of their actions. To place each cult leader on his scale, Dr. Stone examines the cruelty of their acts and the evolution of their beliefs. He begins with Shoko Asahara. March the 20th, 1995. During the morning rush hour in Tokyo, lethal sarin gas was released into the subway system. 12 died. 1,000 were injured. The perpetrators were not common criminals. They were doctors, lawyers, scientists. All were members of the doomsday cult Aum Shinri Kyo, a faith preaching Armageddon. The founder of this religion was Shoko Asahara, a partially blind, middle-aged former yoga instructor. How did Asahara compel well-educated people to commit such an evil act?
To inflict violence on such a massive scale, one must have a delusional view of the world and of his place in it. The leader of a group that carries out this violence must clearly be a master of manipulation and must be bankrupt of remorse. Mercifully, it is rare for one individual to possess both traits.
Born into a poor family in March 1955, Asahara was given the name Chizuo Matsumoto. His father was a craftsman. After Chizuo lost most of his eyesight to infantile glaucoma, his family sent him away to a school for the blind. Because he had somewhat more sight than his more severely disabled classmates, he was able to bully them. He became both feared and followed. The boy loved to read science fiction and claimed he would one day rule a robot kingdom. After school, he applied to a prestigious Tokyo university, but was rejected. While Matsumoto's academic career had come to a close, he would soon flourish as the leader of a religious cult that included highly trained scientists. some of whom set about developing weapons of mass destruction. Chizuo Matsumoto lost most of his eyesight at an early age and spent much of his childhood at a school for the blind in Japan. There he developed the ability to both bully and lead his peers. But when he finished secondary school in 1977, he was not admitted to university. He began practicing acupuncture and teaching yoga. Matsumoto discovered the writings of Nostradamus, the 16th century French astrologer who foretold the end of the world. The young man became obsessed with the idea of Armageddon. He began to have delusions while meditating. In one, he claimed to have been called to become a god of light and directed to create an army to bring about Armageddon. Matsumoto believed that he would survive the apocalypse and emerge as ruler of the world. In 1987, he changed his name to Shoko Asahara and formed a religion called Aum Shinri Kyo, or Supreme Truth. He registered himself as the leader.
Asahara's visions appear to be the sign of a delusional disorder. The fact that he is a guru yoga instructor, and therefore already in a position of authority, makes his delusions potentially more harmful to others.
Asahara attracted new followers using persuasive videos that claimed he possessed godlike powers. He targeted intelligent but lost souls, among them scientists and engineers, who were seeking meaning in their lives. He told them that if they followed him, they would find a path to salvation in a new world. But that world could only be created if this one was destroyed. By 1990, Asahara had recruited 5,000 adherents. He ordered some of his scientist followers to develop a wired helmet for new students to wear. Its purpose? To align their brainwaves with Asahara's in order to better understand his thoughts. It was called the PSI, Perfect Salvation Initiation. He also ordered cult members to wear masks of his likeness and while wearing them to demonstrate devotion.
As Asahara's disciples continued to worship him as a god, his ego is inflated and his delusions are intensified, ultimately making him even more dangerous.
But Asahara's ultimate goal was the creation of a new world by bringing about Armageddon. His scientist followers were directed to develop weapons of mass destruction. They set up a factory to produce the deadly nerve gas, sarin. The Doomsday Cult was preparing for a massive attack. In 1995, Asahara ordered the release of the deadly sarin into the Tokyo subway. The March 20th attack killed 12 and wounded 1,000. He and his inner circle were arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder. Asahara expressed disappointment about the low death toll.
Self-centered and psychopathic, Asahara revealed his general contempt for humanity by scheming to commit murders that would spark an apocalyptic war. There was an extremely high level of evil in Asahara. His delusions, however, qualify as a form of mental illness. For that reason, I cannot place him at the highest level of my scale. Therefore, I place him at level 16, psychopaths committing multiple vicious acts with one or two extraordinarily vicious acts.
Asahara was sentenced to death and awaits execution. Like Asahara, many cult leaders claim a direct line of communication with God or a deity. Laurentian University neuroanatomist Michael Persinger believes he has found an explanation for this phenomenon.
We now realize that all experience comes from brain activity, or even religious experiences are a product of a certain pattern of brain stimulation.
Persinger believes that when the brain's temporal lobe, the region responsible for comprehension, is overstimulated by electromagnetic activity, cerebral seizures can develop that may lead to delusions. These delusions can cause individuals to believe that they've had an encounter with a divine being or beings.